This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, hosted by Jerry and Mark, your one-stop shop for all horrible movie reviews. From the latest blockbusters and independent films to classics, let Mark and Jerry convince you the world is a dangerous place, though often good for a laugh. Now come and listen to the Horror Movie Show, if you dare.
Howdy do, folks. Jerry here.
And Mark.
Happy New Year, Mark.
Thank you. I've been enjoying the festivities. How about yourself?
No, absolutely not. I've been sitting in a closet with a burlap sack over my head. But that's the way the amazing Teresa wants me to stay. So we've got, hope everybody had a good Christmas and is now stuffed full of roast goose.
Yeah.
Why not goose?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
It's like goose is the thing to have.
Yeah.
It's fatty and crisp.
Yes. Full of fat. So, speaking of goose, we have lots of new movies to talk about this week. In fact, lots. So let's start with a really good one out of Australia, 2014 movie, The Babadook, written and directed by Jennifer Kent, stars Essie Davis as Amelia, Noah Wiseman as her son Samuel, Daniel Henshaw as Robbie, and Tim Purcell as the Babadook. So this is a story about a mother, Amelia, and her little boy Samuel. And Samuel is a precocious little boy, a little bit of a brat, a little bit of a whiner, and he's scared of monsters under his bed. He's a skinny little twerp, and he's scared of monsters, but no more than the average kid, until he's given the opportunity to pick the book that the mom will read to him before he goes to sleep that night. And he picks a book they've never seen before. It's called The Babadook.
And it's a pop-up book.
It's a very nicely done pop-up book, and it's all about this boogeyman, essentially, all dressed in black, and he's without coming right out and saying it, you get the idea that he steals children away and eats them and does terrible things to them.
In the book, it's asking you to let him in.
Yes.
And the kid is really frightened, but he's concerned about his mother because for some reason he feels that it's his mother that has to let him in or will let him in.
Right.
Because he's not going to let him in.
Right.
And
plus it's her house.
Yeah, so it scares the living daylights out of him. It's a very short book.
It makes the mother pretty uncomfortable, too, because this is hardly an appropriate story.
It ends with, "I'm coming for you."
It has some nice little rhymes in it. It's really done like a kid's book. You will hear me knock. Ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba. Duke. And sure enough, every time somebody knocks on the door, it sounds just like that.
Yeah. The book is short, like I was saying, and there's some empty white pages towards the end.
Right.
And there's no reason for it. So she finishes the story. They go to sleep, and the little boy is traumatized because of this book. And, of course, she kind of suspected that it was going to happen because just about every book she reads
he's a scared little boy.
Yeah, they have to check for the boogeyman under the bed and in the closet and a wardrobe that he has. Well, it turns out that in this pop-up, Babadook is coming out of this wardrobe. And it looks very much like the one he has.
Yes, it's a personalized horror book.
And the woman is on the brink of having a sort of a nervous breakdown.
Well, she's fine at the beginning, but as the movie goes along and her son is absolutely uncontrollable, he has, it's just awful, that scene in the car. He just starts screaming, and he won't stop screaming until he goes into a fit.
Yeah.
And he's pitching a fit, and she's asking for medical help. She's asking for drugs, if not for him, then for her.
Because she can't sleep.
Yeah, well, but she does get drugs for him, and now, the doctor's given him drugs for a week, and so she wants him to take his drugs so that she can get some peace and quiet. And oh my goodness, That doesn't help. Nothing helps. The Babadook just keeps coming.
And it is a figure that is in the dark, and you can see it slithering across the walls and up the ceilings. And
it's a shadow.
At one point, I guess it enters her mouth. She opens her mouth, and it seems the camera goes right into her mouth at one point, and she's possessed.
You think?
She becomes possessed.
Yeah.
Because now she's treating her kid like she's going to kill him.
Yeah.
And he is terrified.
Yeah.
Now, at the beginning of the movie, you find out that he's made some contraptions to fight off bad boogeymen.
Yeah,
he's got things that'll throw things. He's got a dart gun, sort of like a crossbow.
Yeah.
Things like that. And I
slingshot-like devices and stuff.
Yeah, and I figured these things were going to come into place sooner or later towards the end of the movie, and they do.
Some of them do, yeah.
Some of them do.
Yeah.
The ending is kind of weird in that it's left open. It looks like there's going to be a sequel.
There certainly could be a sequel, but I don't know. I found it the ending. Don't want to give anything away. I found it very satisfying. I thought that everything was wrapped up very nicely without it being a pat Hollywood ending.
No.
It's very nicely done. The acting is very high caliber. The effects, few as they are, they're very nicely done when they are done. Mm-hmm. You know, and it is very much like shadows moving in the background and stuff like that. It reminded me a little bit of Mama.
I liked all the
feeling of it reminded me of Mama.
The social workers that would come by and they can see that she's losing it.
Yeah.
And the little kid, I felt that some points I wanted to strangle the kid, and other points I felt really sympathetic towards him.
Yeah.
He did a real good job because he could play that outrageous little kid, but at the same time he could play somebody that was very, very frightened and vulnerable.
Sensitive. Yeah.
So kudos to him because they did a really nice job there.
Terrific cast.
Babadook is an anagram of a bad book.
Oh, okay. Right.
And the book is evil.
Right.
So that's where they got the name.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, it's well done. I haven't been to a bookshop since I saw the movie. I wonder if the pop-up book is available. This Christmas for children you don't like.
This movie was actually the initial money was raised as a Kickstarter.
Yes, it's yet another that's becoming more and more common. Even if it's just to get the initial treatment done, sell it to a studio. But it's good. There's a lot of good horror comes out of Australia these days, and this is certainly one of them. It'll be on my top 10 list for the year anyway.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, I think so. I think it's a terrific movie. Okay, let's move on to the next movie, which is also a cracker. This one has a lot more laughs in it, black comedy than it is.
Okay, you thought it was a comedy, eh?
No, I didn't say that. I said it has black comedy in it.
This is true.
Written and directed by Kevin Smith, so the comedy is not surprising. He's mostly known for his comic movies. Stars Justin Long as Wallace Brighton. Wallace is a good name for the character, as you'll see. Michael Parks, an older actor, has been around forever. He plays Howard Howe. Haley Joel Osment, former child actor, plays Teddy Kraft. Genesis Rodriguez, perhaps that's Genesis Rodriguez, plays Allie Leon, who is Justin Long's girlfriend. Johnny Depp is in the movie, although you wouldn't know it just reading the credits. Plays a Quebecois detective who's been drummed off the force for obsessing over this very case that we'll be telling you about. And then there's two young girls in it, two teenage girls. One is Harley Quinn Smith, plays girl clerk number 1, and that is Kevin Smith's daughter, Harley Quinn. The guy is so comic book obsessed that he named his daughter after a made-up comic character.
Yeah.
And the other is Lily Rose Melody Depp, who is Johnny Depp's daughter. She plays girl clerk number 2. So the idea of this movie is that Justin Long's character Wallace and Haley Joel Osment's character Teddy, the two of them have a podcast. This movie sort of got to me a little bit. They have a podcast, and they spend their time mostly making fun of people
on the internet,
mocking videos and so on that they've seen on the net. So Justin has found a video of a young guy who's trying to show off his samurai skills, and he winds up right on video lopping off his own leg. That did make me laugh too, because he's such an idiot. He's like Star Wars boy, if you remember that famous video, only he uses a real samurai blade and slices his own leg off, mid-thigh, mind you.
Yeah.
He doesn't even lower down, kind of hopping around on
that
one
must
leg.
have been one sharp blade.
Yes, and to not bleed out immediately from that wound would be a miracle.
So this guy is up in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Yeah. So the idiot kid lives up in Manitoba. So that's where Justin has come. He's flown up to northern Canada to interview this guy, and the kid has just killed himself. He's so humiliated.
He ends up arriving right at the funeral.
Yeah, it's I think
the wake.
The idiot samurai boy has offed himself because he's being laughed at too much by people like Justin. So Justin is at loose ends, and he's in a Canadian pub drinking away, and he sees a list on the bulletin board. This old man who says, I lived my life at sea, and if you'd like to come and stay at my place, I room and board, and you listen to my stories. I've got stories that'll curl your hair. So Justin thinks, well, I need to salvage this trip. I need to do something. So he calls this guy, and he goes 2 hours north of Winnipeg or wherever it is, and he finds this old man, Howard Howe, and he starts listening to his stories and drinking tea, and it turns out that there's something in the tea, and when Justin wakes up, the old man is turning him into a walrus.
Well, not right away.
It's right away.
No.
Oh, it's right away. He's already lost a leg the first time he wakes up.
Well, that's what I mean.
He's being turned into a walrus.
He wakes up, one of his legs has been chopped off, and this old man claims that a spider had bit him. Yeah. He'd passed out, his leg puffed out to the size of an elephant's leg, and he had to call a doctor to amputate it.
Yeah. When Justin wakes up, did you notice what the old man is doing?
He's carving a tusk.
He's polishing the femur from Justin Long's leg.
Oh, is that what that is?
Into a walrus tusk. That's what I mean. He's well on his way to turning Justin into a walrus already. The moment that Justin wakes up, he's already well on his way to being a walrus.
And now explain to the people why he wants him to be a walrus.
The old man, Howard, or whatever his actual name is, he was a seafaring man, and his boat wrecked in the Arctic, and he was rescued by... managed to swim to the ice, and he's rescued by a walrus whom he called Mr. Tusk. And Mr. Tusk kept him warm and fed him fish and so on until he was strong enough to, kill Mr. Tusk and eat him and then leave.
Yeah, but not 10 minutes before he's rescued by a boat.
That's right.
And ever since
he
then...
murdered his best friend.
Yeah, he murdered his best friend, and he wants him back desperately.
Desperately wants him back, so he's been experimenting, trying to turn...
lots of people.
Yeah, but been trying to turn guys into Mr. Tusk for decades.
Yeah.
And Justin just happens to be the latest and arguably the most successful walrus man that Howard has built.
So, this is what the Johnny Depp character, this is why he got laid off from the force.
Yeah, fine.
Because he was...
obsessing.
Obsessed with this case.
Yeah. But he doesn't know. He doesn't know that this is what Howard is doing. All he knows is that people are vanishing, and they're being dismembered. Bits of their bodies are being found in sewage pipes.
And he's doing weird things with the teeth of the victims.
Yes.
Nobody knows what.
They found a chunk of a femur lodged inside the skull of one of the discarded bodies. So he's wondering, why would a piece of the person's own leg bone be stuck inside their mouth? And it's because to make the tusks for the walrus, this guy is using the person's own femur to try to grow tusks So Howard's skills as a carver of scrimshaw has come to the fore, and he's polishing and sharpening these femur bones and making fake tusks out of them.
In the meantime, I don't know why Howard has taken the phones out of the house, right? He disconnected his phone. He got rid of the phone of the kid.
Cell phone.
Yet all of a sudden it appears, and he's able to make a phone call to his girlfriend and to his friend down in the States.
Right.
Come and rescue me. I've been kidnapped.
Right.
It's terrible. He's cut off my leg and all this, and he's whispering. Now, he must have let him do that.
I think it was just a mistake. He is nuts, Just because you're crazy and turning people into walruses doesn't mean mean that you don't make a mistake.
But he did have an agenda.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to create, first of all, a worthy walrus.
Right.
And second of all, he wanted to have it out with him.
Yeah. A fight to the death.
Yeah, because he felt that the fight he had with the real walrus, Mr. Tusk, was not a fair fight.
Right.
So he wanted a reenactment of this fight.
Yes.
So there was a reasoning for him to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that he wanted to get caught. That's why he left the phone out there.
Maybe.
Anyway, that's how
he needed more challenges in his life.
That's how his girlfriend and his friend end up meeting the cop up in Winnipeg, and them tracking down all the way to the point where they find him.
Yeah.
So, a really, really odd movie.
Oh, super weird.
Especially Justin Long's performance as the walrus.
Yeah.
Oh, and his...
It's a real monster movie.
Horror of being changed into one.
Yeah.
And then the whole acceptance of being one.
I know.
And when
he's gone nuts.
Yeah.
Is what's happened. Yeah.
At one point, again, the captor says, you got to learn how to swim.
Right.
So he
dumps him in.
He pulls them into the water.
Yeah.
And at first he's floating, and then slowly he sinks down. And when he gets to the bottom of the pool, he sees like half a dozen other walruses down there,
pseudo-walruses,
rotting away.
Yeah.
So, and that gives him the inspiration to learn to swim.
The impetus to save himself. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's very surreal, very dreamlike, nightmare-like, and I think that's the intent. Of course, it is very dreamlike. It is very spooky that way, but I suppose crazier things have happened. Jeffrey Dahmer wanted to make himself zombie lovers from, these poor kidnapped humans that he drilled holes in and put drain cleaner in.
Now, there's a couple things that picked me about this movie. One being how they always making fun of Canadians saying boot, boot, boot. I don't know any Canadians that say a boot, and I live in Canada. And it pisses me off when they make it look like everybody up here talks like that.
Yeah, it's an easy cliche.
It just made me mad. And then they were doing a few other things about Canada that it just put me off, saying, come on, grow up.
Yeah, it is a little childish. The other thing is, Mark, the equivalent is a boot. Like, that's how the Americans can say it. But the Canadian about is more the Scottish ow, not ooh. It's not that. But the American ear is not the best ear in the world. They have other than Spanish, they don't seem to be able to learn any other languages. Yes, I'm generalizing, but Americans generally are very thick-headed when it comes to learning other languages. You go to Europe and you can talk to anybody there in English.
Yeah.
And they understand you, even though, they're German or they're Swiss or they're French or Italian. But your average American, maybe they know a little Spanish from high school. But no, it's terrible. And they got Canadians all simplified down that we're extremely polite and apologetic. And they really don't understand that when Canadians say, I'm sorry, it doesn't mean we're apologizing. It's more along the lines of, I'm sorry you're such an idiot.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm saying. Sorry you don't understand me, fool. I mean, that's more the Canadian I'm sorry than an actual craven apology.
Yeah.
But I noticed that too. And I know it's a cheap shot. It's an easy shot. And it is just a quick way for Americans to say, okay, there's the whole Canadian experience.
Yeah.
They say a boot.
Now, Kevin Smith, this is the first in a trilogy of Canadian-based movies he's going to be making.
He's going to make?
The second one will be Yoga Hosers.
Okay.
And the third one is going to be called Moose Jaws.
Moose Jaws. Okay, yeah, well, whatever.
So who knows what that's going to... And a lot of these stories and a lot of the things that they talk about in the movie come from their podcast that he does.
Yeah.
So he's getting a lot of material from that.
Well, the closing credit on Tusk included a big chunk of the initial podcast where him and somebody else have been joking about a story, and it turned into the movie Tusk of someone who, ultimately he doesn't mind being turned into a walrus, and in fact he's quite happy to eat raw fish for the rest of his life.
It took 15 days to shoot this movie.
Right.
Which is pretty quick.
It's a good costume.
Yeah.
Excellent costume that Justin wears.
I'm sure it took a lot lot of pre-production on this.
It looked hot. It looked very hot to wear. And also, by the end of the movie, when Justin's poor character has been stuck in an abandoned zoo, like an abandoned aquarium, and he's there living all by himself in the walrus hut with his little swimming pool and that. And his girlfriend and former partner come along, and she throws him a dead mackerel, which he's happy to get. But it's like a year later or something.
Yeah.
And he's still covered in stitches and staples.
Yeah.
Why would he still be covered in that stuff? There'd be no reason.
Well,
he would have healed.
Yeah, you would think. I didn't think his whole body, the mass of a walrus, is much more than the mass of his body. I thought there was a whole bunch of air pockets in there, and it was like a suit that he was wearing, not his real body.
Well, the suit that's mentioned is the suit that Howard wears.
Mm-hmm.
Howard has made himself a walrus suit.
Yes,
he's really turning young Justin into a walrus man.
Yeah.
So he only weighs like 150 pounds, but he's got the shape, more or less, of a walrus. But yeah, as he cuts things off, like his legs, he's using the skin on those legs to
make patch. He looks like a quilt.
It's horrible.
It's like a patched skin quilt.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to our next movie. Mark didn't see this one, but I'll talk about it briefly because it's certainly worth talking about. It's called Starry Eyes. It's from 2014, written and directed by Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Widmeyer. It stars Alex Esso as Sarah, Amanda Fuller as Tracy, Noah Segan as Danny, Fabian Therese as Aaron, Shane Coffey as Poe. Now that's all a group of young friends. And then there's friend of our show, Maria Olsen. She plays the casting director, and Louis Desserand plays the producer. And I'll just mention another member of the gang. He doesn't do a hell of a lot, is Nick Simmons. He plays Ginkgo. Nick Simmons is Gene Simmons' good-looking son.
Okay.
Gene Simmons being the guy from Kiss. So you've seen Nick Simmons grow up on that TV show where the Simmons family were under the scrutiny. Anyway, Starry Eyes is about this young woman, Sarah. She's an actress. They're all would-be actresses in this group. And she hasn't had any breaks. She's getting kind of frustrated. And she goes to this one call, and they reject her again. And she goes into the bathroom, and she pitches a fit. And during these fits of self-loathing, she'll rip at her own hair, and she hauls out a chunk of her own hair. And she opens the bathroom door, and there's Maria Olsen, who's just turned her down for the role as the casting director, her and another dude. But she says, I'm quite intrigued with this little display of temper. Come on back in. And they get her to do that in front of them, and she actually pitches a fit so severely that she, has an epileptic seizure. But they love it! And she's invited to come along for a second meeting, this time with the producer. Oh, no, she goes to a second meeting where she has to strip, and it's sort of humiliating, but she's getting closer to having a big movie role. And then the third meeting is with the producer, and the producer, he's talking to her and how yes, I think you're perfect for the role. We want you to be the girl. And meanwhile, his hand is crawling up between her thighs, and she realizes it's the old casting couch, and she gets up and she leaves. She's not that sort of girl. Well, it doesn't take more than a few days of teasing by her enemy, another girl in the group who's constantly harassing her, before she decides, oh, what the hell, my life's not going anywhere. I don't want to be a waitress in a greasy spoon forever. So she calls Maria and she says, all right, I'm willing to do it. So in she goes. She's been noticing little things like Maria Olsen's character has got a pentagram around her neck and stuff like that. And as she goes back, she's seeing more and more of this devil worship
satanic
stuff. There's some of that going on. So who is the producer? Well, if he isn't the devil, he's the devil's agent. You know. So it's a peculiar movie. It's got a lot of sort of dreamlike sequences. I would say it's heavily influenced and taking a lot from Rosemary's Baby. It's trying for that sort of a vibe, I think. Mm-hmm. And, you know, what is it that these devils want? They always want to knock up some human woman and
have offspring?
Yeah. It was interestingly done, but it's not a great movie. It's better than I expected, but it's still not up to, I don't know, Devil's Due or, you know, any of these other recent devil-worshipping movies. Let's get on with another movie that Mark and I have both seen. This one from 2014 again, Extra-terrestrial, directed by Colin Minahan, written by the Vicious Brothers, which is composed of Colin Minahan and Stuart Ortiz. Stars Brittany Allen as April, Freddie Stroma as Kyle, Melanie Papalia as Melanie. We just saw Melanie in The Den. Pretty good movie. Jesse Moss is Seth. Anya Savchik is Lex. Gil Bellows, he was in a movie we talked about last week. He's Sheriff Murphy, and Michael Ironside, Canadian actor, plays Travis. You tell us a little bit about Extra-terrestrial, Mark.
It's, again, a group of friends on a weekend trip up in the cabins in the woods and find themselves being terrorized by aliens. They come out of the woodwork, basically.
Yeah.
They are
traditional gray type aliens.
Yeah, the ones with the big eyes and the long bodies and
the probes. Don't forget the probes.
Well, they talk about the probes, and then finally we get to see one in action towards the end of this movie. Yeah. I was really surprised at that one. Right. They actually showed us the probe.
Very painful looking.
It looked like sort of a little drill.
Yeah.
Like a mining drill with those three heads, revolving heads.
You know, they actually, to design that, they discussed with some so-called experts on alien abductions.
Yes.
And tried to design the alien probe to include much of what supposed abductees have said the probe is like.
So when they get to the cabin, this is before they experience all these aliens.
Right.
The boyfriend and the girlfriend, the guy proposes and she turns him down because she doesn't want to be stuck, basically. Yeah. She wants to go to college, she wants to have a good education, get a great career, do things with her life, and she feels that if she marries this guy, which she really loves, that she won't be able to do all that.
Yeah, she can't move.
So there's a big falling out.
The boyfriend is very upset and childish, I would say.
Well, he didn't see it coming. He thought that his life was on track.
Well, doing it in front of a whole bunch of people, I think is...
Well, they did it in the bedroom, but when they came out of the bedroom, everyone was expecting with the champagne bottles and everything like that, and it didn't turn out the way they planned.
It did not.
This movie went a lot further than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be simply, being abducted and then maybe getting away, but they actually go right up into the spaceship. And you get to see some other aliens that were abducted and that are captured. Right. And they actually get away from there, and it even goes further than that. And, I kept thinking, well, how are they going to end this?
Right.
And it kept going and going and going. Now, the very end, I kind of saw it coming, but not too far. You could see what was laid out in front of you and going, uh-oh.
Right.
This doesn't look good. And there wasn't any surprise there.
Didn't you think, though, that the scenes on board the alien spaceship were done better in Fire in the Sky?
Yeah, it's...
that had to me, the most terrifyingly realistic portrayal of what the probing is like. And it wasn't merely gross. It was like, it did appear to be sort of medical, and it did appear to be a little, just so cold. Absolutely no feeling for the poor little victim. No more than we would feel for a rat.
Yeah. And why is it extraterrestrials like these Greys, they don't have any clothes?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Here they are, they have flying saucers, they can go across the galaxy, and they don't have any clothes.
They don't need them. They've evolved beyond clothing. They have central heating.
Yeah, but it seems to me, with any advanced civilization, they have clothing in order to store things like guns and weapons. That's. But these guys have none of that.
That's just humankind. They can just tell the ship to give them a probe when they need it. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty damn silly, but I would also say that nobody's actually met or seen an extraterrestrial, so all of this is based on hysteria. 300 years ago, hysterical people who believed that they were visited by otherworldly beings, they were succubus and incubus. They were demons.
Right.
And they were being violated sexually by demons. Now the same belief has just been moved to extraterrestrials violating them sexually. It's the same belief. Some people I think it's a need to be special in some way. And it's also a really common belief. If there really were as many alien abductions and probings going on as all the people who claim it to have been done to them,
right.
If there was really that many, I really find it hard to believe that we wouldn't have found solid proof.
Right.
How are thousands of people every night being taken out of their homes and nobody
sees anything? Yeah.
Because it isn't happening. It's that they say that time between being awake and being asleep, when the body is frozen, the body puts out a drug that keeps you from writhing around when you're asleep and dreaming.
So you don't move with your dream.
Yeah. So you're not constantly falling out of bed. Sometimes, people will kick out in their dreams, whatever, but that's a chemical that our body releases to keep us sort of semi-paralyzed. So if you're half awake, half awake, but you're still paralyzed, that dream can come in. Why am I paralyzed? Because the aliens have me, or the devil, or whatever, So
well, I can understand how they thought it was devils, because aliens look like devils, and obviously they didn't realize that there was life out there in the cosmos, so of course it's a devil. That's what they understood in those times. So it's all real.
Oh, sure.
It has to be.
Okay.
I mean, so many people can't be wrong.
Right, yeah, okay. And, just like so many people being Catholics, that must be the true faith. Oh, wait a second, there's also Hindus and Muslims.
Oh, that comes into play in another movie we've seen just recently.
Which one?
The one where everyone's left behind.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll be getting to that next week. Left Behind, it's called. Okay, let's get on to a fun movie. President Wolfman.
Oh.
Now, this movie is, its official release was 2012, although we didn't see it until this year. Written and directed, more or less, by Mike Davis. Now this is just voices. It's a movie that
found footage kind of thing?
No, it's not found footage. It's a movie composed of...
Well, it's 112 different public domain stock footage films.
Stock footage and public domain movies, because there are some name actors
in it,
but with the soundtrack completely wiped and actors doing their own voices into it. So you have Mark Evan Jackson is the voice of President John Wolfman, Paul Alvarez, Ashley Ann, Robert B. Bloomingdale, Amanda Gary. But among the actors playing President Wolfman, and there are several,
yes,
we just accept that his look goes from being dark with a little mustache to being blonde. But Dean Stockwell is the dude I recognized most.
Yes. He looks very young.
Yes, he was.
Obviously, this was something that he did before he became famous.
Well, no, that's not true, because he was a child actor. So he was a child actor, but then into the 60s, once he was no longer a cute boy, he had to do whatever. So he was making some really cheap-ass horror movies.
Okay, this is before he had his second heyday.
Oh, yeah, that's right. His second career really began after he was in Blue Velvet, I think, where he played one of Frank's cronies. He's the guy in Blue Velvet who sings Candy-Colored Clown They Call the Sandman using a hazard light.
Right.
Wonderful scene.
Yeah, it was a beautiful scene.
Big gay sadist.
Yeah.
So now the story of President Wolfman is that he is the president of the United States. His name is Wolfman, and he has been bitten and is also a wolfman. So
and
President Wolfman is a wolfman.
Periodically, he goes out and kills.
Yeah, but and somehow or other they have these full moons that last for 3 nights in a row.
Yeah,
which is pretty good.
Yeah, so he has lots to do.
He's a busy guy. Oh, it is so cheesy, but it's intentionally cheesy. It's very funny.
Yeah, and they don't even try to match the mouth movements or anything like that. So. And they will edit between 2 different films where Dean Stockwell is the president and the other guy and the other people are the president, and you just take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, one of the guys who is supposed to be President Wolfman has a little boy, has a son.
And the son has been
and the son bounces around in the movie. It's so goofy, but geez, I enjoyed watching this. This is one of the more fun movies I've seen.
I love the fact that Bobby was a number of different people as well, his son.
Bobby was the son,
Yeah, and so and it's just the dumb things, and there's a whole bunch of different aspects to this movie. I mean, there's this lady that's the Speaker of the House or something like that, and she's trying to do something, and he ends up. I think he ends up killing her at some point.
She's a monstrous bitch. And you just know at some point she's going to have her throat eaten out by President Wolfman.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, is he even going to bother to wait to turn into a Wolfman, or is he just going to kill her?
And the voice they have for Wolfman, the guy just plays it so perfectly.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
It's just so well done. Yeah. Just the mannerism of what's happening on the screen and how he talks.
Right.
So calm, so low. It's just so well done.
It is. It's very funny.
And it's not like he becomes a rambling idiot when he's Wolfman either. No. You know, he's jumping all over the place, but he doesn't talk like.
No, he's coherent. Just because you get all hairy, he's still the same guy.
Yeah.
So the last movie that we've got here to talk about officially is called Nobody Can Cool. It's another low-budget independent movie from 2013, written and directed by D-Pix, which is the weird little made-up name for 2 gals, Marcy Boyle and Rachel Holtzman. Together they call themselves D-Pix. It stars Catherine Annette as Susan, David Atlas as her boyfriend or husband David, Nikki Baum is Gigi, and Nick Principe, who's been in some good movies. He plays Len. Man, that guy's got a lot of tattoos. So the idea here is that Susan and David, they're, as always, they're having a bit of a rough patch in their marriage. They want to get away, and they're going to this cabin.
Friend of theirs says, you can use my cabin.
Yeah.
So they go up.
And there's another couple already
there.
Staying there. So the other couple goes, oh, excuse us. Well, listen, you take the main bedroom. We'll be out of here tomorrow. And then as soon as that couple is alone, the girlfriend Gigi is saying, what the hell are you doing? You know, why don't we just get out of here now? And no, we got to be cool because we don't want to look suspicious.
Yeah.
As there are a couple of crooks on the run and they're just hiding out in this.
There's been some sort of robbery. They're holding out in what they thought was a cabin that was
empty cabin.
Yeah, for the winter or whatever. And one of their guys has been wounded. and he's in one of the bedrooms.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right.
So they really can't go anywhere, and they're waiting for the rest of the gang to show up.
Right.
And it happens to be the brother of the wounded guy.
Right.
And they're all afraid. He's the leader of the gang.
Money and everything, yeah.
He's the leader of the gang, and they're all afraid of what he's going to do when he finds out his brother's been shot.
Right, right. Doesn't his brother also die?
Yes, he ends up dying, and now they don't know what to do.
Now they don't know what to do because the brother is a psycho and he's going to blame Nick. Yeah.
Yeah, and it happens that the guy dies just like 10 minutes before he shows up.
Yeah. Oh, that's easy. That's
so
convenient.
And so it's all about these guys being held captive.
Right.
And the couple don't know what to do with them. They don't know if they should kill them.
Yeah.
They don't know if they should just tie them up and then leave them.
There's an escape. At one point, doesn't the husband get away, and he's running away, but the wife is still there, still trapped at the cabin.
There's a whole bunch of interesting dialogue.
Yeah.
I found that it was kind of cool because at one point, one couple has all the weapons,
right.
and then the other couple overpower them and take them back.
Yeah.
So it's a back and forth kind of thing. Whereas once they got free and got the weapons, they could have killed the other couple.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
I know.
So when they gained control again, they knew that they had the opportunity.
Right.
So there's all these little twists and turns happening all over the place.
Yes, the character played by Nick Principe Len, he's the most interesting of the four main characters. Even though he's a crook, he's not a murderer. He doesn't want to be a killer. His girlfriend would probably kill him.
Yes, she's a little more skits.
Yeah, she's a little more of a crazy person. So that was interesting that even though he's a bad guy, he's not completely without morals.
No. And the fact that when he's talking to her when they're by themselves, she's convincing him that
you can trust us.
You can trust us. Yeah. We're not going to say anything. You can just go on your merry way, and we're not going to say anything.
Yeah.
But it's the girl that's not trusting, so she wants to get them out of the way and kill them.
Right.
And like I said, weaponry keeps changing hands, and it makes for a very interesting story.
Yes, indeed. Those are the main movies we wanted to cover, but I just want to, because this is our end-of-year episode going into the new year, I just wanted to mention 3 movies that I've seen recently. A couple of them certainly could be taken as horror movies. This one, not a horror movie. The Theory of Everything. It's based on the book by Jane Hawking of her couple of decades of marriage to Stephen Hawking.
Oh.
From when he was a promising student. Actually, he was a lazy student at first, but soon revealed that he was a super genius. And she was married to him. They had a couple or 3 kids together, and this is her story. Hawking was given 2 years to live.
Yeah, I heard that.
2 years. And
yeah.
The man's now, approaching 80 years of age.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, he's quite unexpected.
Yeah.
All the doctors had written him off.
Yeah, he's absolutely blasted that. Here's 2 movies that Mark and I will go into in more detail, but just if you're looking for some good mainstream films to watch, Gone Girl. You didn't see that, did you?
No.
No, okay. This is directed by David Fincher. Written by Gillian Flynn, based on her novel. Stars Ben Affleck, Rosamund Pike, Neil Patrick Harris, Tyler Perry. Very surprisingly good turn from Tyler Perry. Because all I know about him are those horrible
Medina or whatever.
Yeah, those awful transvestite movies. Carrie Coon, Kim Dickens, Missy Pyle is hilarious. She plays one of those Fox News talking head right-wing, bottle blonde maniacs. Yeah, she's wonderful. And Celia Ward, she plays a slightly higher class TV hit person. Excellent movie. The whole first half of the movie, you think it's a fairly straightforward detective story trying to find out how Ben Affleck killed his wife and made her body disappear. And I won't give it away, but the second half of the movie is completely different. And I thought, well, maybe they could go in this direction, but it really surprised me. And it's really good. That's Gone Girl. And then the other one, which is most definitely a horror movie, is called Nightcrawler. 2014 movie written and directed by Dan Gilroy. stars Jake Gyllenhaal as a nightcrawler, and what that is, it's a person who runs around chasing ambulances and cop cars, has like the policeman radio in the car, and tries to get video footage, which they can then sell to a local station, or, if they're lucky, national.
Right.
And, and they eke out a living doing that night after night after night. So Jake Gyllenhaal, he's brand new to this, and he's trying to make a living. Bill Paxton plays a character who's been doing this for a while. In a way, he wants to make Jake a junior partner because Jake's character is coming along really fast as far as being one of these nightcrawler monsters. And Bill wants to sort of short-circuit him and make him work for him just to keep him under wraps. And Jake Gyllenhaal is mental. Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Rene Russo is in it. Riz Ahmed plays Jake's poor put-upon assistant. I'd really recommend Nightcrawler. It's one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. I still haven't seen... So
is this like a bunch of paparazzi going around trying to get a story?
Well, it's sort of like that, but paparazzi go for stars.
Right.
They go for people in the public eye.
Right.
These Nightcrawlers, what they do specifically is they just try to find buildings burning down.
Okay, news stories.
Yeah, horrible car accidents, that sort of thing. But they have, certainly in L.A. where this is set, they have their priorities. It combines Taxi Driver and the old movie from the 70s, Network, in that we see how corrupt the news people are. They don't care where the footage comes from as long as they've got spectacular footage. And Jake's getting his news footage any old way he can.
So are they creating their own news footage?
No, I didn't say that.
But I'm just guessing.
Certainly at first he's just following along and trying to keep one step ahead of the competition and the cops. But, he starts crossing lines.
Uh-huh.
Without giving too much away, he's the first on the scene to a rather horrific car accident, and he's got himself up on this little berm on the side of the road, and he's looking at it, and he puts his camera down, and he trots over into the middle of the wreckage with bodies literally strewn around the road, and he drags one woman by the heels, drags her over so that he can get a better shot. He's now messing with a possible crime scene.
Yeah.
Don't touch anything.
Yeah.
First and foremost. So that's when he starts crossing the line, and we start realizing, okay, we're dealing with a more interesting person. He's not just a sleazebag. He's a potentially dangerous sleazebag.
Yeah.
But Jake Gyllenhaal, he's another one of these actors. Looks like he lost about 40 pounds to play this character.
He must be really thin.
He is gaunt. He sunken cheeks and sunken eyes, and he just looks terrible. But he's got this buzz, this rodent buzz all the time, full of energy, but also full of mischief.
Right.
Well, after Mark has seen it, we'll talk about it more, folks. So let's just look at the movies that we talked about today. The Babadook, excellent.
Yeah, for what it was pretty good. Obviously, I think they're going to have a sequel.
I'm not sure. It could, but I don't see why they would have a sequel, except a pure money grab, because I think the story wraps up very nicely. Tusk. Won't be a sequel to that one, I don't think.
No.
Tusk 2, The Revenge.
But how much further can you go?
Oh, that's pretty wild, yeah. Both excellent movies. Starry Eyes. It was okay. It was sort of a throwback to Rosemary's Baby, a little bit of that, a little bit of Devil's Due, but not a great movie. Extra-terrestrial.
I thought it was mediocre.
Yeah, it's okay, but nothing special.
I was really disappointed at the end, actually.
Okay, yeah. I was disappointed with it overall. President Wolfman.
Funny?
Pure laughs.
Yeah.
Very goofy.
Yeah, don't expect great quality or anything.
No, it's a little childish and scatological, and
It's just silly.
Yeah. A good one for the guys to sit around and drink a few beers. And
even though there aren't
at.
any naked women or anything.
There's some go-go dancing. I think they found some footage from the 60s. And you just don't know what's coming next because they've taken from over 100 different weird sources.
Yeah.
Nobody can cool. I should mention they're trying to sort of be like it's dedicated to the makers of the old film noirs from the 40s,
right?
Humphrey Bogart type movies. They specifically, I think, dedicate it to some actress who was known for those movies. That's the vibe they're trying to get. But it's super low budget, so I don't think they're completely successful. But for what it was an entertaining movie.
Yes, I thought it was very entertaining.
Okay.
You didn't know where it was going to go because everything kept switching.
It could have been done as a stage play, I think.
Sure.
Because there's really only like 5 main characters.
90% of the stuff is in that cabin.
Yeah. Okay, folks, so we're going to leave it there, and we'll be back next week with another show, mostly new movies, including Predestination and Automata. So